So I was actually going to move into training camp is almost here. There's still not a date for it, which is annoying as shit, but it's almost here. I think Rick Tockett is just too joyful about having an actual training facility here as opposed
Pretty
to
cool,
Vancouver,
right?
which apparently, yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. Pretty cool, guys. We have a training facility, and
Wow.
he's
Oh
just
wow.
soaking it all in. All right, he's getting ready for that moment. He's doing secret training camp right now,
Yeah.
but the first preseason game is September 21st, which is less than a month away.
Hmm.
So at some point soon, it's going to be training camp. And our buddy Kyle, who's been doing some fantastic videos for Broad Street Hockey over on the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. Kyle went over into the Discord, which I apologize for not frequenting as much, but I also am a very busy man and I'm tired and I am also have social anxiety. I don't know, but Kyle went into the Discord and was nice enough to get a couple of questions from people about the Philadelphia Hockey Flyers for us, which we can use to kill out most of the rest of the
We
show.
sure could.
We sure can. So the first one is from, I think this is J Row. It says pre-camp prediction: who is the surprise player who does or does not make the team? Who has the most to prove in camp?
It's a good question.
So the first thing that comes to mind is Tyson Forrester has hinted that he might be ready for the beginning of the season because
Hmm.
there were reports that Tyson Forrester would not be ready, and then he's been having some Instagram teases about it. And if Tyson Forrester wasn't going to be ready, it seemed pretty obvious that one of either Alex Bump or Mikhail Grabenkin were going to make the team out of camp. And that was pretty exciting to see a new guy. I mean, it'd be a bummer to miss Forrester early in the season, but it'd be exciting to get one of those guys in sometime. Now, Forrester, if he's going to play, if he's going to be in there, it makes it a lot more difficult for one of those guys to make the big team out of camp. Bump seems like the most obvious one right now. Everybody was really impressed with him in the prospects camp. They love his drive. I love the shit talking he's done. So Bump seems like a guy who will probably make it, but I'm not going to be totally shocked if he does not make it at this point.
Yeah. Um, my mind immediately went to Bump and also Jet Lachenko, which I feel like there's just like it's weird. I feel like there's either some people who think that he's a shoo-in to make the team, and then people who are like, no, he's going to go back to junior. No one wants him to go back to junior. That would suck.
His
Like,
juniors team is total hot fried ass.
right. Yeah. So I would rather him just like make the team and, but also that's tough because it's like, what if he's not ready? But you also are like, well, if we send him back, that's not going to help him either. It's kind of like you're between a rock and a hard place. So I don't
And
know
it's a
what.
shame it's not next year because I heard mention that they were going to alter the agreement where, like, I don't know, guys of a certain age could play in the AHL instead now or something like
Mhm.
that. So, like, if he could play in the AHL, that'd be perfect. I think
Yeah.
Jet in the
Yeah.
AHL would be killer. But I would prefer to see him in the NHL over his juniors team. I think at this point, a lot's going to depend too on if they really want to try Zegras out at center or not. Because if you have Zegras at center, that really changes your lineup drastically.
Mhm.
Because let me just pull up Daily Faceoff real quick and see what they're projecting for the Flyers lineup right now.
Yeah.
Because
Well, those lineups I
it's
take with a
something it
grain of
just gives
salt.
me an idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like right now they have Mishkov, Couturier connecting on the top line.
Hmm.
Zegras at left wing, Dvorak center, and Tippett right wing on the second line. Forrester, Cates, Brink third line because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then Delorier, Bowles, Hathaway on the fourth line there, which I think I'm okay with any of those guys not making the team. Delorier, I believe this is his last year of his contract. He's going to be there, but he's going to be eating flyer-shaped pretzels in the box, and he's fine with it. That's what his role is.
Yeah.
Rodrigo Bowles is an interesting one because I think he's fine. Like, I like him. I know some of our BSH compatriots over here are real big Rodrigo fans. I think he's a cromulent fourth line center, but
Yeah.
I would much prefer to see a Jet Luchenko in there over a Bowles. And the same thing, like if that was Bump and Jet, I'm pretty happy about that. But
Yeah.
I also at the same time, like I'd prefer for Jet to be getting like third line minutes, but it's tough because while you don't have great center depth, you did sign Dvorak, who's going to be a solid guy to slot in there.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. I will say I'm not crazy about Dvorak as like a 2C. He's like
Mhm.
a perfect 3C in my opinion.
I think you're
So
more likely, yeah, I don't know. It depends on if they want to break up the Cates Forrester Brink line, which the thing is, that was under a previous coaching regime. So
right.
there's no bias about the lines being set up in any way with these guys coming in. Like it's all new, which is very exciting to
Hmm.
me.
Another guy, I'm actually going to kind of shift gears real fast and talk about someone who has a lot to prove. Um, I think it's Emil Andre. Like I really want to see him have a big camp. And I want him
Right.
to I want him to force the fly. Like I want him to be like, you know, Igor Zamula, he can't be in the lineup over me. Like you have to have me playing. I'm that good. Like put
And
me on the
Noah, don't
third.
forget about Noah Juleson, who
Yeah,
I've
like
forgotten about many times.
right. I feel like this has to be the summer where Emil Andre says, "Nope, I'm ready to go." I think he really needs to have a good training camp. I think he needs to play well in these preseason games. I think this is kind of a huge year for him. So I think he has a ton to prove. I think he has to prove that he is worthy of a spot in the NHL. Um, and because I mean, you could argue that Zamula also has a lot to prove, which he does. He certainly does, but he isn't. I believe he's not waiver exempt. So like if they waive him, actually he's an RFA. He's so I guess like technically they could. I can't remember how all that works, but
I really don't
yeah,
care about. I don't care about
yeah,
Vape over there. Like
yeah. I don't really.
if he plays, he doesn't play. Like it doesn't matter much to me. The defense is interesting because there's really only like one or two slots, depending on your opinion of Zamula, available there, and it comes down to so Andre's fascinating. I think Helge Grans is really interesting as a big body right-handed defender. I thought he
Mhm.
looked pretty good when he played for the Flyers with a cup of coffee last year. So I could see Grans maybe sneaking into the conversation.
Yeah, I can see that too. But like, I really want it to be Andre because I
Oh,
do
I'm
think
missing
something's
Risto
there.
from my lineup I'm looking at. I'm like, there's a name missing here, and it's
Yeah.
Ristolainen, who's a giant question mark. Who knows?
Yeah,
Where in the world
we
is
still don't
Rasmus
even know what's
Ristolainen?
going on. Yeah, like we don't know what his situation is. We don't know how bad the
Yeah.
injury is when he's I mean, is he skating right now? No one knows. So um yeah, it's kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
I would
Well, and
really,
that's
really
a
like
big difference
to see
maker for the Flyers.
it is. But overall, I would really like to see Emil Andre have a big summer. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I would love to see Emil Andre get in there. So yeah, I think Andre could be a surprise player who does make the team. I think Grans could definitely be a surprise and make it in there. And I would be surprised if Bump doesn't make it, but
Hmm.
it's really going to depend on if he has another if he can keep up with the NHL competition like he has with the AHL competition, because when he's played with guys his age he's looked good, but NHL's a different game. It's
Hmm.
completely like speed wise, physicality wise, like that's part of the reason why I'm so psyched about Mishkov year 2 is he's gotten a taste of this and he's like, all right, now I know what this is about and I know how
Right,
to
right.
prepare my body for the grind of a full season. And is Bump ready for that grind? Is he ready to jump into that? I hope he is, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't make it. But yeah, so yeah, I think those are guys to definitely consider. So good question from J Row there.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good little think tank for us. So like that.
BJ, and next up we have BJ Wanland who said, "What's the general preseason vibe surrounding the Flyers?" So that's an interesting one because I feel like this team, between the Phillies being in their playoff push right now, because the Phillies are They got another month basically of baseball. They're playing as we record this against the second place Mets. Phillies are in first, Mets are in second. Mets suck. Sorry, Kyle, but not sorry. But the Phillies are in a big race right now. They're missing their top player, but there's a lot of talk, a lot of hype around the Phillies. The Eagles are defending champs and they're about to start back up. So the Flyers and the Sixers are kind of a fascinating train wreck. So the Flyers are a real under the radar team. I think I don't really know what the vibes are with Tocchet yet. That's my biggest question mark. I think this team is loose. I think this team's going to have fun this year. I think they have some fun personalities.
Yeah.
I think this team could potentially surprise you, especially we've been seeing these rankings come in the past few weeks. Like Travis Yost, I think in particular, had some, and he had the Flyers in like tier D for like everything, right? Which fair, they were one of the worst teams in the league last year, but it didn't feel like that. A lot of that had to do with their just subpar goaltending. And the goaltending, by the way, does not look improved at this point. Yeah. Like, Dan Vladar is going to have to do a lot to prove me wrong. I think a healthy Ersin Vladar could potentially be a good combination, but I don't know. But I think the defense is solid. I think the wingers are really good. And I think the centers are okay, but obviously lacking. So I think this is a team that's very under the radar right now, and a team that really could surprise some people coming out this season. And I think it's just a good room right now. I think you got guys that like each other. You got those like best friends with Drysdale and Cam York and Zegras.
Yeah.
Like you've got guys that like each other a lot. Mishkov seems to vibe with everybody. Travis Konechny. I mean, who doesn't get along with Travis Konechny?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting kind of, it is hard to pinpoint what exactly the vibe is because it's still like kind of the off season for the NHL. You know what I mean? Like it's
totally off season.
Yeah. Like we're not there yet. But I do think the vibe around the team is going to be, once things get started, I do think it's going to be cautious optimism. I do think that's which I feel like that's always the vibe for any training camp, unless it was the training camp a couple years ago when they brought in Tony DeAngelo, and it was just like the vibes around the team in general were bad. You know what I mean? But I do think, it's going to be an interesting camp. I do agree that I think the energy around the team is a little bit more positive. Truly, I do look forward to seeing how big a difference just the presence of Tocchet makes. And listen, I know people are still a little wary of like, he really hasn't had any success in the NHL as a head coach. Like, why are we so excited about this guy? To me, what I'm excited about is just the relationship he has with the players. Like we've seen him have incredible relationships with the players before. Not all the players. I know that there's obviously the whole, he wasn't crazy about Elias Pettersson and all that, but I think overall he's going to have some really, really good relationships with these Flyers players overall. And I think that's going to make a huge difference just given how not great the last year of Tortorella went. It just seemed like everyone hated his ass, and it seems like Rick Tocchet is going to be the opposite. It feels like it's going to be a lot more fun. So I think that's going to be maybe fun. I think it's going to be a fun vibe.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too. I think it's going to be a fun vibe. I'm really looking forward to this team getting in action because we've been talking about these moves so much. We've been talking about what Zegras could potentially bring to this team. And it's just going to make it's like when we were talking about Mishkov in theory last season before actually seeing him. It's just different. It's different, like talking about all this stuff versus actually seeing it. Seeing is believing, right? Especially when you're talking about talented new hockey players. And I think it's just, there's a lot of breath of fresh air elements to this team that I am excited about seeing.
Yeah. It's just, like you mentioned, Mishkov is here. Zegras is here. There's a ton of skill. They're two of their top players. I think you could argue that Zegras is already one of their top players. Obviously it's top, TK. TK is up there. Like, I'm not saying he's like, top two, but
I think Zegras, though, talent wise, immediately becomes one of your highest potential players because Mishkov is obviously, he's your highest potential player. Like he
Mhm.
is the guy with the vision and the skills. But Zegras, we've seen him put up 70 something points. He's still very young. Zegras has a high skill level. He immediately jumps up to near the top of that list.
I was gonna say, I think instead of top two players, they're certainly Mishkov and Zegras are certainly the top two most skilled on the team. I don't think that's a question.
Well, because also you've got guys like Tyson Forrester and Noah Cates who are
Right.
very smart, very talented hockey players, but like
They don't have that skill.
Noah Cates doesn't have that skill. I think he's got great skills, but he's not that level. And then Tyson Forrester is more known for, at this point, great defensive prowess, great sense of the game, and having a big, heavy shot. But he's not a great stick handler. It's certainly not a great skater. So there is a big difference between like what Zegras can potentially do with his stick handling and his vision and everything versus those other very talented guys.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting training camp coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to get into it. We're probably going to have another week or two of just messing around to, until we get to that point, but that's okay. That's what we do.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.